Well, my name's Derrick Brown, and I identify myself as my wife Keisha's husband and my daughter Hannah's father. And that's who I have endeavored to be, like all day, every day, and it's been a long journey to get to this point. I fashioned myself as something I call a stand-up storyteller. And in that, I fuse rap, spoken word poetry, traditional public speaking, teaching, and every now and then singing. I fuse it all into an art form that I use to write, produce, and direct songs. And my songs focus on hope, healing, and change. That's what I've devoted my life to. And I believe the music can facilitate what I call small group discipleship. And you see that in action here at Liberty all the time in the form of small groups. I don't think I'll ever focus on audiences of more than 12 people. You know, if you count the chairs in here, I don't know if it was designed this way, but this room seems like it'll hold about 12 people comfortably, with me as the 12th person. 3 on that couch, 3 on that couch, 3 on that couch. Number 10 over there, number 11 right there, 12 here. That's a comfortable audience to perform, if you will, and then take that performance in the direction of everybody in that room kind of growing from what was performed. Now, I participated in a spoken word showcase last night that was put together by a young man that I recently met, and I enjoyed being in the show, and those shows are a means to an end of letting the greater community know who I am and what I have. But that very forum doesn't let me do what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do really is focused on discipleship, where we get together multiple times. I may speak one thing, but that one thing may get us together multiple times to discuss and grow and ask questions, and those questions might prompt me to go and do another work that I would come back and perform, and then we grow from that. So the idea behind what I'm doing is for all of us to grow by listening and participating. So your participation is welcome, whatever it is. If it's clapping, that's fine. If it's questions, that's fine. Anything you have is welcome. We will neat and tidily wrap this up by 9:45 so the next person come in. I have 4 pieces to do. We can probably do 3 and have the same impact, but I'll just kind of see what happens. You good? Mm-hmm. Okay. The first one I want to do is one I've never performed in public. And it's called You Can't See Me. And it came out of a conversation I was having with myself that God kind of interrupted. I was lamenting feeling invisible. That happens a lot. I'm short, so people don't see short people. I'm smart, so people kind of don't see smart people. And I'm quiet. People definitely don't see quiet people. They don't hear quiet people. But I'm called to live a transparent life, and the thing about transparency is you kind of see right through it, which means you can't see it. So if God calls me to be transparent and I'm feeling invisible, that's when God interrupted and said, you know, that's kind of how I feel. Invisible, transparent, but still significant. So I wrote something that hopefully illustrates all of what I'm learning from God, and hopefully what people are seeing in me, even if they don't see me. And even if I fall short of what I'm speaking, I speak it to myself too, so that I am reminded, hey man, this is what you gotta show people, right? So that one starts like this. My life is but an instrument that sings songs in many keys, of wisdom earned through lessons learned from mistakes of varying degrees. Here's one I made a lot. Do not mistake activity for achievement. Here's another one. Arriving on time, that means you're late. And to be on time, you get there early. And if you fall 7 times, make sure you get up 8. Now another one is, if it happens 1 time, we'll call that an accident. You do something 2 times, that might be a trend. Now if it happens 3 times, that might be a problem. But forgiveness is our friend. race is not to the swift. It's to the one who maintains. So you want to stay aligned and on your grind and stay in your own lane. You want to keep it slow and steady. That's it. Nice and smooth. You want to always do your homework and believe that God will approve. Because every moment matters. You better recognize. Then you can quickly respond to opportunities you realize. Don't despise the small tasks. Pursue them diligently. Passion and purpose are often discovered through simple acts of ministry. You want to keep a pad of paper and a nearby pen of ink so that you can write your visions plainly and make time to pray and think. Now, don't believe the hype. Avoid the glittery and the bejeweled. See, when you think with your eyes, you are often easily fooled. Now, all money ain't good money. Sometimes less is more. You want to make your living through your giving and learn to turn 2 into 4. Now, even your fear is your only courage. You want to be scared to disobey and be scared to rock that boat, but sometimes you got to rock it anyway. You want to know how to keep your quiet until it's time for you to say. And if your heart ain't feeling right, then you want to say it another way. Because your freedom of speech means you got to come correct. You want to be quick to listen. You want to be quicker to respect. You want to be slow to speak, even slower to get twisted. Because meek ain't weak, and self-control beats double-fisted. And the only thing that you know is that you really don't know squat. And no one cares what you know if they think you care not. So pick your spot. Practice, don't preach. When the student is ready, the teacher will teach. Now, when you're faced with a fool, remember Proverbs 26, 5 and 4. Sometimes you want to let that thing go. But sometimes you need to let that fool know. Now, raise your child with loving instruction. Encourage growth, but discourage rambunctious. Remember, we're all equal in essence, but we are very different in function. Remember that no good deed goes unrewarded, but the payoff is seldom immediate. See, dreams manifest at God's appointed time. Though it tarries, you have to wait for it. That's it. So I have a big problem, like, letting everybody know that I'm at the end. So I usually say, yeah, that's it for that one. All right.
That's cool. Yep. When you opened up, before you started, you said transparent and invisible. Then you hooked up with God, and that's where I sat. I said that was deep. And the things as you went through, the things that you listed, those are things that people don't see. Arriving early, maybe staying late, diligence. Those are things that are to others maybe invisible. Those things are transparent when you're in a group, but you're doing those things and they lead to success. That's part of that godly life. And so the whole time, that's, I kept thinking of, what you were laying out in terms of, that's kind of like the invisible God. He's invisible or transparent, but I don't know the word you use, but he is significant. He is the significance. And I was feeling that. That's cool. That's cool.
But the trouble I have with all of these is I know God gave them to me. But when you, in turn, give them to people, you never know what they get. So that's why I was like, I appreciate y'all being here, because I can see, and that's why I like small audiences too. I'll be in everybody's face and just know, hey man, we in the right place. You good? Mm-hmm. I thought about calling you and telling you I was going to do this, but I was like, man, if I tell you, you might not come. So I just said, come on and be a part of it. Because actually, I don't know if you remember me saying in one of our early meetings that we're on our way somewhere. This is kind of what we're on our way to. All the exercises that we've been doing are to allow all of us to get to know each other to a level of comfort and intimacy where we can all start growing together. And if that takes a year to do, then that's fine. If it takes 2 months, that's fine. But we'll go on that journey together, however long it takes. And you have been the most faithful attendee. That's why I told you that you were going to lead this. Now, did that scare you? Okay. I said, yeah, it's time to tell him. It's like, yeah, man, you're seldom chosen. The people who are chosen are the people who show up. So by showing up, you are chosen. Oh, I thought you were going to say something. I'm sorry.
Huh?
Yeah, no. All right. Okay. Now these other two that I'll do, I've performed them before, so I have a little more comfort with them. This one that I'm going to do, I first did at my family reunion, and I was pretty scared because I'm from one of those families. We all are. But I'm from a family where my grandma has 9 kids, and she has 10 brothers and sisters. So when we get together, most of us don't really know each other.
Yeah.
That we really don't know each other, and we play it off at every family reunion. We have family reunions every year because the family's big, but we don't know each other. They see me as the guy who's always behind the computer, DJing, putting pictures up on the wall, and giving everybody the mic during the talent show. So I came out from behind the mic and did this. And they said, oh, we didn't know that's who you were. It's like, well, this is me. So this one is called Stand Your Ground. And it was born on a night of despair. What happened? It was back during the Trayvon Martin situation, and George Zimmerman had been acquitted. And that whole scenario was troubling for me in many ways, because see, in my neighborhood, I'm probably seen as George Zimmerman. I'm the guy who will go out and address the kids who are walking around at night with no apparent purpose, or loitering, or just looking like they're about to get into trouble, because I'm an old assistant principal from a high school, and that was my job in high school, that was my job in my neighborhood. That whole situation made me kind of slow my roll a little bit, and the acquittal came when we were about 6 months pregnant with our only child, Hannah, who is 5 now. And I was scared, like, okay, your kid's going to be born, things are going to happen, things may even happen to your kid, and sometimes you'll be able to do something about it, sometimes you won't. So what do you do? So God gave me a word that says, well, what you do is you teach your child. You teach them the best way you can. You prepare them, and one of the things you have to teach them is how to function and think for themselves. So this is Stand Your Ground. Now I lay me down to sleep. I kiss my wife, ponder deep. I wonder why, but that's okay. See, all my answers tomorrow are the questions I have today. Then I kneel and start to pray. I ask the Lord to have His way. I want to stay focused on a future day and hope to keep all harm at bay, so my baby girl can play, jump on me, and yell, "Daddy, yay!" master piano, and dance ballet. I'm going to tell her about our wedding day and how to wait for her fiancé, and that relationships begin with hey, then take their course, la vie say. I'll tell her to do her work for more than pay, and to know when to go and when to stay. Now I will correct her course if she should stray. I definitely need to tell her that this world is still cray-cray, and that the brave are scared to disobey, but that they sometimes do it anyway. I tell her that fools rush in, but the wise survey. Tell her think twice and act once and avoid the fray. Tell her that accountable talk never starts with they. It starts here. And that power means more than being able to sway. Then I reach amen, rise again, ready to embark, engage, and win. I keep my eyes wide shut, but with open heart. Because this game ain't fair, you gotta play it smart. The road ahead is still paved with life, despite all circumstance and strife. Now she'll change the world if I maintain, stay on my grind, and stay in my lane. That's the end of that one. Yeah, so that one was important to me. And what happens most of the time when I perform is it gets very, 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 very quiet, which I have learned is not a bad thing. And
It's people thinking.
Yeah.
Especially people with kids.
Yeah. So yeah. I have learned that's my job. And even the benefit in performing is if you perform enough, you come to understand your audience and the reactions. And you get your mind off of that, because they will respond and react a whole lot more if you just focus on your craft and quit worrying about them. And it's hard to do. The fear that a lot of people have of public speaking is you're consumed with how everybody is receiving and what they're thinking and what they're going to say and whether they're going to throw things at you. And none of that is important. You have to focus on you and what you were called to give to them. All right. So the third one, yeah, I think we'll get this one in. This is the one I did last night at the Spoken Word Showcase. This one is called GRASPP, like get it. And I spell GRASPP, GRASPP, which I'll explain later. But it focuses on creating change. You got a world, right? The world may not function the way we would like to see it function. We may not be able to change that world, but we are able to start that change with ourselves. So creating that kind of change requires a leader who takes ownership of their gifts and time, because when you don't, someone else will and may steer you in the wrong direction. Eyes on the prize, my man. Let's keep the goal in sight. But check your people too, and make sure your crew's all right. Respect the time and place, the circumstance and pace. Make sure you give them space to be a human race. Go ahead and dot the I's and even cross the T's. Review your strategies with simple summaries. And know that even then, the unforeseen can win. Patience gets paper thin, but maintain your peace within. Speak on the things that matter. Skip all that idle chatter. Ignore the tit for tatter so that your mind won't scatter. Stay fully focused, man, and then adjust your plan. Because see, you are greater than when you believe you can. Even so, you will from time to time encounter hate and spite. But keep it light and tight. Fight the good fight. Might ain't always right. Never correlates with height. Never resolves the plight written in black and white. See, we're all humble, haughty, naughty, and nice. No one's infallible. You want to act once, think twice. Even successful failures come from knowing your role, not by controlling people, but via self-control. Your gifts make room because you do it like you do. And you're the owner, boo. So this is also true. Anybody who kinda sorta missed the cue to give full honor due, they better get a clue. Sometimes you gotta put folks in the queue and teach them how to treat you. They might have thought they knew, right church, wrong pew. Bottom line view, note to self, new to do. You appreciate the players who get you two and get you through, who take your one and give back two. You tell them more than thank you. If you take the sole off your shoe, think about how many steps accrue. If you build a shelf with no glue, you're awaiting a great breakthrough. No lemon pepper in the stew takes away the flavor. Whew. I made my point. No more ado. So GRASPP is an acronym. It comes from a book called Spiritual Leadership by a noted author named J. Oswald Sanders, old school preacher. And there's a chapter in the book about how to take the temperature of your organization and kind of know where everybody is. And he gave me GRASPP. He said you focus on the G is group morale, how everybody's feeling. You focus on the R, the relationships. You focus on the A, administration. The S is spiritual tone, which is a little different than group morale. And then the 2 P's are planning and problem solving. And what he said that stuck with me is that the plan alone doesn't ensure victory, but it does give you a solid approach, which always gives you a great chance to win. And he said that the greatest chance to win comes when the right people are calling and taking the right shots at the right time. And that book is so old for him to have said all of that. It's like, yeah, that was God talking through him, because that's real stuff. And most people that I talked to about the book had never read the book, but one of my previous pastors gave the book to all the leaders to read before they became official leaders and whatnot. So that was a great gift. So that's the end of that.
You know what I like about all 3 of them so far is the funny part about humans is we always got to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
And so far with all 3 of these, you know, these are all life lessons that, you know, if you're like me, you had to learn it the hard way. You know, I've had a crew that really wasn't a crew. I've failed miserably with my kids before and then succeeded wonderfully with my kids before. And, you know, and our walk with God, what we learn where we were before, how mature it becomes, you know, knowing that what true transparency really is. So that's what I like about this. This is, you know, life lessons that while you're saying it, it's like, oh yeah, yep, I hear you on that. But it's funny because humans have to learn this kind of stuff the hard way. And so it'd be cool if you, I don't know, it'd be really good, especially I could see with, you know, not just older, because, you know, we've learned in the past that there are 80-year-olds that don't even know this stuff, you know, that haven't learned it yet, because it takes a soft heart, it takes a willingness to let go and hear the voice of God to learn this kind of stuff. You know, if you stay hard-nosed your whole life, you just never get it. And that's what I like about this. It's life lessons that are very important to life.
And I garner from this, just like you say, the lessons, no matter what your age, what I find myself doing is like, I hear you say something and say, yeah, you know, I hear it and I say, yeah, that's right. And then I hear something else and I say, I didn't think of it like that. And then, you know, those are from, you know, so I look at my successes and then I also see my failures and some of the witticisms that you give. Like the one that really struck me was the line about don't get caught up in idle chatter, just speak to things that matter. And I was like, man, I could save a whole lot of words if I just live by that. But you know, so I take it through, and you know, I'm not a young guy, I'm not old guy, I'm 60, but there's stuff in there for me. You know, I said, if there's something in it for me, it's got to be something for you. It's got to be something for everybody. That, you know, all it takes is you know, open your ears, man. It's good.
Like the act once, think twice.
But you may have noticed now I put that in everything. I was in at least 2 of those. I use that one a lot.
Yeah. That one and stay your lane.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was one of my tough lessons. Yeah. So I learned last night in the performance, spoken word is like a young person's game, like very young. And even the crowd, I was like, ooh, this is a very young crowd. So, you know, I let them know that I was probably the oldest person in there. I don't know if I was or not, but tell them I belong in this space because I've got a niche of stories. All my stuff this is stuff I am living and breathing and think I am at least learning. So, and you know, I felt from the crowd, I felt like I belonged there because I know I'm not behind enemy lines, so to speak, but I know when I go out there, I'm going to look a little different than I might look in here.
No.
And I still have to hold my own because I need to be out there. And one thing we talked about, when we all just standing around and milling, one guy mentioned to me, he says, man, you don't have a lot of words in your stuff. And I said, yeah, because see, I do all of this to music now. I'm doing like an acapella version today. And when you do it to music and you're older, you run out of breath. So I learned to write in short phrases because I can spit short phrases and not pass out because I'm running out of breath.
Yeah.
But man, these guys last night, they would do bars that had 100 words in it, like just very long sentences, and they never run out of breath. And I said, you can do that. that would not go well for me. But also, brevity gives everybody a chance to hear every word. So I said, yeah, that is of great value to me that you actually hear. So I like doing the acapella shows because if you heard the rap versions of all of these, I go a little faster and it's harder to pick it up. But when you go acapella, you just slow down and you talk to everybody so that everybody gets everything. And the more I do it, I'm becoming slowly convinced, yeah, sometimes you should just do acapella shows. Now the music is cool because I actually compose all the music, and I think the music gets you a different response, but the music can probably turn on one part of the brain and then turn off another part, so you want to make sure that you can listen.
Okay. You talked about age and being in that space, and in that space now as young people, but I can remember in the 60s, just I go back that far, we used to call it, you would see in the movies or on the TV, it'd be like a club, and we call them beatniks. Yeah. That's what we call them. They had the little French tam on, and they'd have on a little shirt, and they would be, it was spoken word. It was spoken word, and they did have, sometimes they were back with music, but that would be to accent what they were doing, and it weren't necessarily, doing it in rhythm, but it was the mood. Whatever the mood of the piece was, there was music to match that. So I don't think that the spoken word was really bound by age. Usually people who are going to enjoy this type of thing are more, more cerebral, and they want to hear what you have to say, and they are there to think about what you're presenting. They are expecting you to evoke an emotion, a thought, a feeling, and whether the pace is fast or slow, just because there's more words there doesn't mean they had more to say. That's all. That's where I'm going with that.
The thing with rap that I grew up playing a lot of music, and the thing with when you go from spoken word to rap song now, I don't know if you notice, these rap music these days aren't the same as they used to be.
Oh, yeah.
They used to be the voice was an instrument. Now it's you're hearing more of your beat than your voice. So rap's changed a lot. So especially with the younger crowd, I think spoken word. I see it on the internet all the time. You see people with YouTube channels where it's a guy with just a spoken word, and there is some light type of background music to it, but it's mainly his poem and his spoken word. And I think that reaches so many more people than rap music does, because just rap, you're battling now with the beat, and I just see so much more success. And I think with spoken word, rap is taken lightly, spoken word is taken deeply. And that's what I've always seen that, like when there's a spoken word, people are listening to the word. When there's rap, they listen to the beat, they listen to, your hook. The rap, the lyrics between your hook isn't you know, a lot of rappers, they don't focus so much on that anymore. Not like Tupac. You know, who knows what his hooks were? You heard in between. You know, and same thing with all those old school guys. But these days, it's what sells is the hook, and it's, you know, it's 2 lines and it's over and over and over and over again. But spoken word will quiet a room, and spoken word will make people look deep inside and start bringing up stuff that they have hidden.
Pastor Wendell is working on me now, but I actually purposely don't use hooks for a lot of what you just said. But now, to the point of getting people to recognize and remember your stuff, like, well, I'll find a happy medium to incorporate them in something.
Yeah.
So I got Ethan, what you getting over there? Getting
Still processing, thinking.
Oh, that works. That works. So I got 24 of these, man. I wrote the 24th one a couple of days ago, and the guy's showing me different things to do with them. So one thing I've done is I've published them as 2 albums, 10 songs a piece, and I'm on the 3rd album now. Pretty much get 1 out every year. Last year I only did maybe 2 songs, and this year I've done 2, so I've got 40% towards the 3rd album. And the way I package the first 2 now, I sell them as DVDs or audio CDs. I think the video DVD is much more valuable because I produce videos with the lyrics on screen, which helps you absorb, because my intent is not for you to listen one time. I'd like for you to listen and study these. So I took the DVDs and packaged them as curricula that I sell to homeschool audiences, where you use the songs as multi-week writing prompts to get your kids to dig in and absorb. And the benefit for homeschool audiences is they crave stuff that you can do over a course of several weeks that allows the students to kind of do independent study and result in some type of product. So I have a guide that goes along with the DVD that talks about the different types of writing prompts you can pull from it, and how you can organize things like letter writing campaigns around issues important to you, or public service announcements, just different things that the song can be used for. And so far so good with that. I've got it out there. It's not like I've sold 1 million of them, but it's not like I haven't sold any, so you kind of learn to grow slow and be all right with it.
A quick thing on the hooks. You know, if you're doing rap to music, that's what I'm talking about, doing hooks. But I don't know if you realize it, but when you do your spoken word and you do them, you package them, you know, in this, we had 4, we did 3, but you do have hooks. They're recurring themes. You state the same thing, but you're coming at it from a different way. But from a mental standpoint, to me, that helped me relate the first piece to the second piece to the third piece. You know, there's some commonality in the wisdom that's being spit, so to speak, and that's, to me, that was so you have hooks.
Okay.
You have hooks, but
Spoken word hooks are, they'll say a line, and then they'll say it again, and then continue.
Yeah.
You know?
But I'm speaking in terms of you know, there's a thematic hook is what I'm saying, which is great when you can incorporate it in a catchy phrase, but not necessarily, you know, that's the creative part, I think, of what you do. You bring the point, I would think, of a hook is, hey, here's a point that I want to make sure that you get, and you present it in a catchy manner so that it gets kind of stuck in your head. And I think you do that with the way you state the various wisdoms. And when you see it, well, that's kind of like, yeah, I see that. It's deep.
I have many things to thank y'all for. Now, y'all, I would never be able to say how much this means to me, for real. One thing it's definitely done is I just got to witness, like, man, this is exactly what I want to do. It's like I want to put it out there and have people respond to it, and we all grow from the exchange, where I'm left with knowing, hey, we can get together and do this again in some fashion, since I got so much other stuff. The other thing that was very helpful to me with the DVDs, that's actually how I teach myself my own songs, because I didn't realize, man, when you get all of it and you write it all, man, it'll be years before you actually know the song by heart. So the 3 that I've done today, I didn't have a system to learn them, so it took me years before I'm like, yeah, I know all the words in that song. Because the first one, You Can't See Me, is long. It is long. And I write it in such a way. Could y'all tell I messed one of them up? Okay. That's by design. Because You Can't See Me has maybe 24 bars, I think. And sometimes I forget bars. But it's like, well, if you forget it, it's still kind of self-contained, so you don't even notice. And that helps because you don't want to flub when you're in front of crowds, especially when you're out there now and they want to throw eggs if you... Yeah.
I think one of the most important things you did say, though, when you first started was that this is stuff God has given you. And as long as you know, what happens so many times, especially in rap music and spoken word and stuff, people start to get big head and then they start doing their own thing, and then, you know, might have started with God, but as long as God and Jesus stays the center of it, I think you're going to flourish. You're going to do wonderful. Especially if He's called you to it, then, you know, let Him take the wheel. And you just be His passenger and do what He tells you. And that's what, you know, that's what I like. I think that was my favorite